If you're an e-commerce brand wondering about the metaverse, how to get in it, where do you start, what do you need to consider, what are the options for you, then this is definitely the video for you. Hola, hello, my name is Gabriela Marcano and I'm the founder and CEO of GM Ignited, a performance-driven e-commerce marketing agency. I'm a media buyer expert and a marketing strategist. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about the metaverse and how you, as an e-commerce brand, can start dipping your feet into the confusing and ever-evolving world of Web 3.0. Before we begin, I want to quickly remind you to please like this video if you found it valuable, ask any questions in the comment section, or any feedback is definitely welcome. And don't forget to subscribe if you liked this content. Love to learn about the metaverse and all things marketing. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, so you're an e-commerce brand and you're thinking, okay, I understand what the metaverse is, but now where do I start? And you're thinking, what do I do? How do I get a deeper understanding before hiring, before creating a strategy around it? So this is what this video is for. So let's get into it. The metaverse. First of all, it is the next iteration of the internet, which means Web 3.0. If you haven't seen my other video, I definitely recommend you looking at that first. But in essence, it's a digital experience within the internet that is persistent, meaning it never stops. It continuously goes, kind of like the real world. Even if you're in your house or in your room or sleeping, like the world keeps going. It's the same exact thing. It's immersive, meaning that we create, we develop, we interact. It's immersive. It's three-dimensional. It tends to be 3D, more or less. It tends to be 3D. And of course, it is virtual, meaning that this all takes place on the internet. So what does the metaverse offer? So what does the metaverse do? It offers the opportunity to connect with people, to create, to play, to work, to buy. It's basically a full-on economy, a full-on life within the metaverse. And within the metaverse, there are many types of metaverses. So that is a very important distinction to know. And it has a very important interlap between real world and virtual world. Users within the metaverse can connect with people that are outside of the metaverse. So that is a very important aspect to it. So I spoke about Matthew Ball in my other video, which I think it is very important. He's a very important person, a very influential person in this whole process of Web 3.0. And he explained the 8 core categories, which I'll dive in very briefly in this video. So hardware. Hardware is everything that has to do with the technology needed to create the metaverse and the technology to experience the metaverse. So for example, haptic gloves, headsets, that's a way to experience the metaverse. It's not the only way to experience it, but it's one of the ways to experience it. Mobile phones, and then you have like industrial cameras, for example, in order to create it. Then you have networking. Networking is just basically real-time connections that you create within the metaverse. So at any given point, wherever you are, you can definitely socialize if people are around as well in real time. Compute is basically the enablement and supply of computing power to support the metaverse. So that can be rendering, data reconciliation, AI, so artificial intelligence, and such. Then you have virtual platforms, and these are 3D worlds, 3D environments, 3D simulations, for example. So these are where people can create, socialize, build, create, and engage in an economy, essentially. Then you have interchangeable tools. These are tools, protocols, formats, services, and engines that allow the creation and ongoing generation of the metaverse. Then you have payments, digital payments processes, platforms, and operations that may or may not be unique to each virtual platform. Then you have content, services, and assets. This is the whole design, creation, sale, resell, storage, secure protection, etc. And then finally, you have user behaviors. And these are all the changes in consumer behaviors and business behaviors as well. Time and attention, decision-making capabilities, as well as spend and investments. So if you can understand one thing is this, and this for me is the essential of everything as a marketer. And I learned this directly from Tommaso Di Bartolo, a professor at Every Realm, which was a certificate that I got for the metaverse, essentially. And is the idea that consumers are no longer there to be sold something. They're there to be part of your product. And what that means is that you need to take them into consideration now more than ever. They want to be part of the process. They want to be part of the experience before purchasing a product. They want to be closer than ever. They want to feel like they're the decision makers and not just a bystander. That's why the metaverse empowers brands to make consumers part of the product instead of just selling the product. So you're probably thinking, okay, so what are the ways in which I can build presence in Web 3.0? And we're going to dive in very briefly into each one. First, you have NFTs, which I think everyone at this point, or at least has heard of it at one point or another and has a basic idea of what it is. NFTs can take multiple forms and can be multiple things. They can be from digital assets. So for example, cars can be an NFT, art is NFT, jewelry, clothing, all of that. All of these collectibles are considered NFTs. And some have practical use. So for example, it is definitely better to get an NFT that you can make use of and that has value within the metaverse and depends less on whether it is raving or trending, and more based on its utility within the metaverse. Then you have virtual events. So within metaverses, whichever may be Roblox, Somnium Space, Decentraland, etc., you can create virtual events, whether that's a concert, whether that's a race, whether that is a showroom, whatever it may be. Then you have AR. And AR, I think, is particularly interesting because it is different and it's something that you can experience from social media directly. So AR is your way of experiencing a product in your environment. So through your phone, you can scan a QR code, or maybe you just pop into an e-commerce site and you have the product in 3D and with capabilities of AR, which is something that my agency, for example, does for our brands. And this has enormous benefits to it. The person can experience the product in their environment, essentially, almost as if you had the product in front of you, but it's all virtual. It's all online within the internet. Then you have product placements. I would say this is the least effective one. It's still good for brand awareness. If you're sponsoring, for example, a game, or you're part of Roblox and you just want to make sure that your brand is shown somewhere. So that is definitely something that you can do. But as I said before, the most essential part is the immersive aspect of it. People want to experience your product. They want to experience your brand now more than ever. So by just placing your product, you're kind of missing out on all the great things that the metaverse actually offers. Then you have gaming. So basically you can create games within the metaverse for people to engage in. Then you have the physical virtual store. So basically within the virtual world, whichever one you choose, you have a physical store where people can go in. And then real world 3D experiences. To be able to showcase this a little bit further, I'm going to show you some examples of what you could potentially do for your brand in order to start diving into Web 3.0. Okay, so here are NFT examples. So obviously Coke is known for creating memorable moments with your friends and family. So for, I believe it was Friendship Day, they created an NFT box containing different things. For example, a jacket, or a little small fridge of Coke, which the jacket could be used for avatars, while the other ones are definitely purely collectible. Then we have, and this I took directly from the Wall Street Journal, the partnership from Adidas with Felicious, and the fact that it was just so successful because within hours they sold 23 million worth of shoes. And the cool thing about that is that they sold not only an NFT, but also the physical product. So a lot of brands do sell the physical product along with their digital twin as NFTs. Then we have a virtual event example, which we took the Gucci Garden experience. So they created this huge showroom and virtual event in Roblox where you could basically shop virtually. You could potentially try on things. And I think it was pretty cool because each section, kind of you had a different experience. So here's more of like a store. But then if you go a little bit further, here you have a pool that you can dive into, like you can discover different products within the world, like within that virtual world. And you are able to try it on your avatar, which in this world that they created, in this event they created, everyone took shape of a mannequin, which I think is pretty cool because you're able to see how the product fits even better. And as you see, as they walk through different paths, they encounter different types of experience. Before it was a pool, now it is a subway, and the products match that experience in many ways. So it's very exploratory. Then we have AR experience, which I mentioned before. It is something that you could do, that is something that we do. For example, you can incorporate it to your website, and you can have Facebook ads, Snapchat ads with this AR experience. And the results are just freaking amazing. I'm actually going to do another video specifically about 3D and AR experience with social media and commerce. So basically here, it almost looks like the physical shoe, but you are not leaving your home or wherever it is that you're at, and you can see how they would fit, how they look, more about the details, more about the real life proportion, dimensions and size. And this definitely helps with decreasing the return rate and increasing conversion rates. So then we have gaming, and basically Chipotle created this burrito maze. This is a great example on Roblox. And basically what they did was create a maze where people can win a free burrito by engaging in this cool, like solving the maze type of activity. You had to dress up and really engage in it. And then people would retrieve their free burrito in person in real life, which I think is also a very cool way of how they interlapped this real world, virtual world aspect to it. And then we have real world 3D experience, which we've seen, well, I don't know if you guys seen, but there is quite a bit coming along. And one of the most populars are the ones that are seen on Broadway, New York. It's pretty trippy because you actually feel like that will pop out of the screen at any moment. There's one of a tiger that is honestly my favorite. I don't know why I didn't put it, but this one is pretty cool too. So how to get into it? So how do you start? So now that you know all the different aspects that you can immerse yourself within the metaverse as a brand, how do you start? First of all, you have to know your target audience. As you know, and as I mentioned already, there are different metaverses. So many of the examples that you saw were in Roblox, but there's Somnium Space, which in my personal opinion is the most close to what the idea of the metaverse is. But then you also have Decentraland, Axie Infinity, and many other types of worlds. So you have to know who your target audience is and where exactly do they hang out at and what their behaviors look like. What do they do in these worlds? Evaluate every single aspect around it to know where exactly it is that you should activate it. You want to make sure that whatever it is that you do, you think about the long-lasting effect and how it can be a sustainable presence. So how you can continuously keep that there and keep that going, considering that the metaverse is an ever evolving and is omnipresent. So it never goes away. And what would your approach be to entering that metaverse? So how would you initiate the entering process? How would you market it? What would you take into account? Who you would invite, for example, and then the timing. When does it make sense to do this, to enter this? So for example, if your brand like Coca-Cola aligns deeply with friendships and family, so they launched that NFT around Friendship Day. So you want to make sure that your timing is also right. Then you need to keep a lookout at your competition. Like I mentioned before, the metaverse is ever evolving. So there's something happening consistently. There's something being created all the time. There's behaviors changing all the time. It is definitely very unpredictable type of environment. So you want to be highly engaged with it and keep up with it as well. And that is basically how you start analyzing your strategy in order to enter and dive into the metaverse. And there are definitely metaverse influencers, there are NFT influencers, there are crypto influencers. So there are so many aspects to this that you can take into account in order to leverage your entering into the metaverse. All right, so that was all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video so much. Again, please don't forget to like, comment any feedback or questions that you might have, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to keep learning more about the metaverse and marketing.